Welcome back to the Daily Boyos, everybody. I'm Zeke.
And I'm Brandon.
And today we will be breaking down and commenting on the Ahsoka trailer, which was just released at Star Wars Celebration this week.
Yes, there's definitely a lot to unpack from the Star Wars Celebration, as we got a lot of movie news, a lot of TV show news, and one official trailer, that being the Ahsoka trailer. So we're just going to go ahead and break that down, and so let's get to it.
The trailer itself looks phenomenal, and it really sets the stage for an heir to the Empire story to finally take place in Star Wars canon. We got our first official looks at the Rebels characters Sabine Wren, Hera Syndulla, Ezra Bridger, and Chopper in live action, along with the return of Mon Mothma and Morgan Elsbeth from The Mandalorian, and the Jedi droid Professor Huang from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's going to be really great that we're getting the introduction or reintroduction of the Rebels characters in the Star Wars universe, and that being in live action. It's a really cool homage that we're getting the animated characters introduced in Ahsoka, as Ahsoka was initially introduced as an animated character in the Clone Wars. So I think that's like a really cool little, passing the torch, welcome to the big boy league. And the fact that they're bringing these narratives and storylines into live action is great, because a lot of the Rebel storylines that were very important, they were very drastic to the entire Star Wars universe, with involving the Jedi, involving the Force. So the fact that it's being brought into the spotlight is great. It's amazing, and I myself didn't really watch much of Rebels. I just read it, but I know that this is a huge thing for the Star Wars community, and definitely a huge growing step for sure.
Yeah, I'm especially excited for the fact that they're bringing in droid Professor Huang into the show too, because in the Clone Wars, he is the one to guide younglings to the planet Ilum to find their kyber crystals and helps them build their lightsabers. And so I think the fact that he's involved in the Ahsoka series points to the idea that we're going to see Ahsoka go through a Jedi trial of some sort, because there's a major disconnect between where we find Ahsoka in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels to where we find her in The Mandalorian. And it basically comes down to the idea that in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Rebels, Ahsoka does not identify as a Jedi, but in The Mandalorian, she very much is a Jedi. And so I think we're going to see a bridge through Dr. Huang instructing Ahsoka through a Jedi trial of some sort that actually makes Ahsoka a Jedi.
Yeah, I really like how they're going to reestablish Ahsoka's storyline to the general public, as a lot of people just kind of know her as a Jedi in Mandalorian just because she has like a lightsaber, but she has a very complicated past with her being exiled from the Jedi Order, and her choosing not to go back, and her becoming her own version of a Jedi with her own philosophy. And it's a lot more complicated, so the fact that they're going to kind of go back to the origins with Clone Wars and kind of just bring that to the spotlight is going to be really great for Ahsoka, as Ahsoka is one of the top 5 Jedi or top 5 characters of all of Star Wars. I love Ahsoka, so the fact that she's getting this amount of respect, that when she started as an animated character from a Cartoon Network spin-off show, is very important.
We also see 2 of the show's main villains, Baylan and Shin, in action for the first time, both wielding red-orange lightsabers never seen before in Star Wars canon.
Yeah, the orange lightsabers are really cool because it's really remindful of the Darth Vader lightsaber that he had in the 1970s when people saw him on the screen for the first time, or on VHS. Just kind of like that off red. So I think Dave Filoni himself even said that that's kind of his main inspiration behind Baylan. So that's really cool. And then when it comes to the costume design of Baylan, he looks very much designed like some Knights of the Old Republic type armor. It's very bulky, it's very, heavy. It looks very much like Emperor Velcrone I think that's his name, from the Knights of the Old Republic. If you haven't seen any of that or played that game, I really recommend just watching the trailers. They're essentially great short films. But yeah, that whole trailer itself really reminds me of the Knights of the Old Republic, just from like the ruins in the background, and just the lightsaber fights that we had kind of set up between Ahsoka and Baylan give me that vibe of Knights of the Old Republic in a weird way, which I don't know. I think it's just Dave Filoni, now that we're getting finally his own full project. I think he's getting into those deeper roots of Star Wars, and I'm very much excited for that.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think a lot of the Knights of the Old Republic vibes you're talking about kind of reflect how Dave Filoni is tapping into this deep concentration on the Force itself, and how that's going to be a driving factor, and we're going to see different kind of perspectives, ideologies, and even practices with the Force that we have never seen before through Ahsoka, through Baylan and Shin, who could very well be Jedi exiles themselves, given the fact that Shin actually has a Jedi Padawan braid. So it's going to be really cool to see the Force and the different groups that use the Force get explored in a unique way. The trailer also featured a scene where Ahsoka duels an Imperial Inquisitor, indicating that there will likely be some flashback sequences in this show, which lines up with the reports that Hayden Christensen will return as Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader will appear. And I think it'd be great if Hayden Christensen came in for this show, because he is such an essential part of Ahsoka's life, and has always been kind of the crux of why Ahsoka is brought into Star Wars stories. And it would just be a great kind of connection, not only to the prequels, of course, but to the Clone Wars and Rebels and everything else that has developed if Anakin Skywalker was present. And I think it'd be really cool to even see some possible visions involving Anakin Skywalker almost in an alternate reality, and that could involve, as has been rumored, Ahsoka actually dueling Anakin on Mustafar in Episode 3 in place of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think it's a really ripe opportunity for them to take advantage of.
The day after the trailer was released, we learned that Lars Mikkelsen, who voiced Grand Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels, will be returning to portray the character again in live action. I was kind of mixed about this initially. I wanted someone that kind of looked more like Grand Admiral Thrawn initially, but I think this is the best suit. It's really cool that they're going with the voice actor, as anyone that's usually a voice actor that gets converted to live action isn't really very successful. And with Grand Admiral Thrawn, the way he is portrayed in Rebels, I think it's going to be very hard to kind of create a different version of that with a different voice actor. So I think that Lars Mikkelsen is the perfect fit for Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, and I think they honestly may have learned their lesson with changing the cast members for people coming from animation to live action through Kenobi, with the Grand Inquisitor and the Fifth Brother being recasted. So I personally love the fact that Lars Mikkelsen will be portraying Grand Admiral Thrawn in this case, and I'm just very excited for, as we mentioned earlier, the fact that we're probably going to start to see an heir to the Empire story building. And it just comes down to the idea that Dave Filoni recognizes the importance of that story in Legends and how it can be beautifully adapted into Star Wars canon now.
It's going to be interesting how the heir of the Empire is going to be correlated with this ongoing Mandoverse storyline, and how much it's going to be this next decade-long storyline arc where characters cross with each other and so on, or if this is going to be kind of like its own separate thing. But from what it really does seem is that this is going to be almost the center point of the entire Star Wars universe.
Celebration attendees were also able to see an extended version of the Ahsoka trailer that featured more shots of Lothal, E-Wing fighters, Sabine Wren using Ezra's green lightsaber, and a better look at Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I'm personally very excited for this project, as Ahsoka is my top 3 favorite Jedi. I can't really tell you which order she's in, but she's definitely up there. She's got one of the most complex and interesting stories out of all of Star Wars. And to finally see her get the respect and kind of fleshed out, focused narrative is great. It's not, necessarily a project on the big screen, but it's going to be her show, so it's going to be several hours of a lot of spotlight on Ahsoka. So I'm very much excited for that, but we'll see how that goes, as Disney hasn't really been the best with a lot of the executions of their Star Wars projects, but I know that this project in the hands of Dave Filoni is going to do really well, especially with the long line of directors for each episode. It's phenomenal. I mean, we have hands from people who did Watchmen, House of Dragon, Into the Spider-Verse, so it's a lot of different hands from a lot of different creative fields, and I'm very much excited for that.
Yeah, I think this is Dave Filoni's passion project that has been kind of building up for over a decade now. And it's really incredible to think that it all began 15 years ago with a character that people kind of didn't like in the first place. But now she, as you said, she has earned the respect that she always deserved. And I think it's going to be a fascinating show that explores, as we talked about earlier, different perspectives and uses of the Force, while also accumulating into this Grand Admiral Thrawn story that I think is going to be the ultimate plot point for the Mandoverse movie that Dave Filoni is going to direct in the future. And so it gives me hopes that Ahsoka's story, it is only kind of starting in a sense, and that we get to see her character progress through additional seasons and kind of actually have a magnus opus in a sense in the Dave Filoni directed movie. I'm very excited for this show. It's confirmed to have 8 episodes and will be released in August of this year.
So that concludes our discussion on the Ahsoka trailer and what we're looking forward to, what really caught our eye, and there's definitely going to be more that we're going to talk about later on, but that's definitely just the kind of the broad conversation we're going to have on it for now. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet. Go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you think about the Ahsoka trailer and what caught your eye and what you're expecting from it, or just say hi. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Zeke.
And thanks for watching another Daily Boyos episode. And also follow us on our Instagram page as we post daily content from Star Wars, Marvel, and other news and updates from materials that we like. So go ahead and follow us down there. I'll put a link down below in the description.
May the Force be with you.
Peace out, Boyos.